Alright, I just wanted to go through where we stand and what stage we're at. We have completed the X carriage, Y carriage. We've got the X carriage and Z attached. We've got the print head completed and attached. Got wiring sort of together here off to the side where the motors, where the controllers and the power is going to be. Actually, I don't know if the power may go over here. The motor and the controllers over here. Haven't decided yet. Got a little bit to do here. I got one motor that I don't know which plug goes to which, so we got to figure that out. Got to come up with another adapter for this little bitty plug here, style plug for the ramps. It's not going to fit on there, so I need to get one of these DuPont connectors on there. And the next step is to install the heated bed. So this is one question that I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Heated bed's not only warped, but man, is it bent. I might try and bend it back a little bit, just because it's so bad. I know it's supposed to be an auto leveling, but that is just... So, let me try and straighten that out just a hair. We'll see. Also, trying to decide if I want to go 24 volts on everything, or 12. If I go 24, I'm going to have to come up with a way to run the fans, because I think the fans are 12. So I'll have to bring that down, transformer down to lower voltage. This moves beautifully. This, however, moves horribly. I mean, it is just a mess. I don't know if it's my idler, because I had to make one. I don't know if it's this motor, because I had to makeshift the motor from two different motors. It could be, actually this is the motor I made out of two motors, this one on here, so that wouldn't be affecting this motor's fine. It could be that the band's too tight. I mean, it pushes together, but barely. So that could be too tight. So I may try and start with obviously loosening that, see if that's what it is. It was sliding beautiful before I put the band on there, so it's got to be something with the band or the motor. So we'll see. Could be the motor, it's just a difficult motor to run. So the double springs on here make this very hard to open. I mean, you almost feel like you're going to break off this tip here. So not sure what that's all about. There's a big opening in the side of the hot hat here. Kind of a hexagon. Six-sided hexagon. I don't know what the purpose of that big opening is. Is it just to see? If it is, I mean, that's nice, but I don't get it. So I forgot to drill a hole for my filament. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to drill that hole out or not. So I also bought filament yesterday, I should say. I bought filament yesterday. I bought the cheapest stuff I could find. So going on the cheap on this whole thing. Inland filament. I bought a PLA and an ABS, and I bought this at Micro Center, and I think they made a mistake, but didn't bother me. These were both $15 for 1 kilo of, I think it's like 1 kilogram, somewhere on here, of print. Basically print. So one says 1.75 millimeter ABS, and the other one says 3 millimeter filament PLA. But you look at it, and it's obviously 1.75 millimeter. So I got the right stuff. It just wasn't labeled properly. Hopefully it's labeled properly and it is PLA. I don't know how to test that. I guess I can melt it and see what temperature it melts at. Don't know. Anyways, I have some filament, so when we do get to the point where we're done with this, I can actually do a test print. since this is my first 3D printer, I don't have any of that kind of stuff. What else do we got? I did add this to the back of it. This is that, I don't know if I mentioned this in earlier, but I think I did. I have a lot of trouble with this being completely, let me show it from the side view, make it easier to see. This is just all over the place, and it's too loose. So, I've added, and it tilts back just a hair, instead of straight up and down, perpendicular to the table. So, it needs to go right about, roughly right up there, to perpendicular. Now, so I've added this to the back of it, and I'm going to put some feet, just like the Y feet on here, one on each side, and I think that will, once I get that like that, it'll be much sturdier, I think. I don't know that for a fact, but that's my theory. See, that's one side. I don't have something to put on the other side, but just adding the one, put my hand under there, made it a little sturdier. So I think just putting some feet underneath there would do amazing, you know, keep it. One doesn't do it. It doesn't affect it doesn't get in the way of anything. So it's just a little more sturdiness for this way. I did use 3mm birch board, so I mean it's not like I'm using some kind of strong piece of equipment here. But that's our plan, my plan. Got all these wires that I don't know where these go. I guess they just go up and down so it can move freely. Haven't figured that one out yet. Haven't got to that point in the video. So actually I have. I've watched all the videos, all the build videos completely through one time. I need to watch them all again as I go so I don't miss anything, which I actually have. So I gotta be careful. But that's really smooth. That even mess. So we're going to work on maybe loosening that up a little bit first, and then we're going to try and level this off maybe a little bit, and then we're going to add this next. So that's our next step, is adding this in, wiring it up, and running those wires to wherever they go. And last step, the only part that I don't have for this build currently that I can think of is the power supply. I've got the LCD, I've got all that. Tom just recently uploaded firmware to his site for Marlin, I believe is what it's called. So I've downloaded that. I haven't looked at it yet. That's actually the part I'm looking forward to the most. I like the DIY, but I also like looking at the code and programming and fixing all that. So I'm really looking forward to that part of this build once I get everything wired up. I'm nervous about this piece. This is the ramps 1.4. I'm nervous about that piece. They're kind of cheesy looking, so I don't know how it'll work and how it'll run. Arduinos, I'm familiar with those. I've used those before, so I'm okay with that. This is the MK2, which we'll see. Sometimes you get good ones, sometimes you get bad ones. Guess we'll find out. I think that's it for right now. I don't have much else. Yeah, so power supply. Got to get a power supply. Gonna have to order on the internet. Went to Micro Center, they didn't have any. Computer power supplies, they had a bunch of, but I don't know how to hook them. I've tried figuring out the wiring of the computer power supply. I kind of showed that earlier in the video. Just didn't work for me. Don't know. And I don't. It should have enough amps, but I don't know that for a fact. So we're gonna go ahead and get going on the things I mentioned there. All right. So we've been working on this for a couple weeks now, and we're at the point where I'm ready to plug in the power supply into the ramp/Arduino. I have all the wires just running down here in gibberish down to this thing, plugged into where they're supposed to be plugged into, I think. We'll find out in a minute. In fact, that's right. Okay, so 20 amp, no, 18 amp, nope, 17 amp, 12 volt power supply. I'm going to replace it with that one. When I get a chance to rewire this thing, that is a 1000 watt one, so it'll give me, I think, 18 or 20 amps. This one only gives me 17. So we're going to go ahead and plug this in. I don't have the drivers plugged in yet. I'm going to do it the same way Tom did it. Just plug it in with everything going, everything's hooked up, Heated board's all wired up. I got some cardboard laying on here, that way if it catches fire we get to see a flame shoot up. Get everything wired. Motors may be wired wrong, but that shouldn't cause a problem right now because we're not sending any volts to them. So we'll find out. I don't have a switch, but I do have a plug to plug in. So here we go. I wonder if I should be touching that. Oh well, we'll find out. LED came on. There's lights flashing on this little yellow light flashing. I don't know if you guys can see that. Right there. Doesn't mean anything. The fan should have also come on. It did. The hot end fan came on. I don't see any smoke. And the LED is just sitting there with nothing. I don't know if that's my contrast or what. I plugged it in, but I don't have any code going to it yet, so I'm not sure what that's doing. Okay. Well, that's a good thing, I think. Now we just got to drop the firmware on here, pump it through. The firmware doesn't include the LCD screen yet, but I went ahead and attached it just to see if it was, alive. It is alive. I'll have to get firmware set up for the LCD because Tom did not build firmware for that. He built firmware without the LCD. So I'm not sure how he's getting the files in. Oh, USB. That's right, from the computer. But I'd rather not have to hook it up to a computer. I'd rather use the SD card on here. I've seen one online. There's a gentleman who's also working on this exact same build, and he has the LCD. So maybe his firmware will work, but he doesn't have the 5mm rods. He has the 8mm, and I can't think what they're called. The other rods that are trapezoidal or whatever. So everything's functioning. Wait a minute, is the park fan running or just the cooling fan? No, just the cooling fan's running. That's good. That's what we want. Faster than it was a second ago. I don't know. That's interesting. It should only run one speed. Okay, well, we're going to shut it down for now, but that's it. Thanks. Now comes the fun part. I get to knock these extra bolts off here. That was my excitement for the day. Alright, so I've got a lot of stuff attached and a lot of stuff going since our last communication via the camera. I'm going to zoom out and just show you where we are. So we've got a lot of stuff hooked up. I tried hooking up the LCDs, but they're not programmed yet. So I had one where it was programmed and one where it wasn't programmed. The two different firmwares. The one firmware works with the threaded rods, and the other one works with the access rods. I'm not sure what they're called, but that worked, and everything worked with this part. However, the Z-axis was going so slow because it was programmed for a different type of ride. So I went back to Tom's firmware and loaded it up, and it's all working great, but I can't control anything via this, and I can't use the SD card. So I've got to get the firmwares combined and find the two pieces that work to turn it on. So it's capable, I just haven't got it set yet. Now I'm going through and I'm getting my heated bed all hooked up here. Just literally got, so what I'm doing is, I don't know if I've told you this, but I've got the standard heated bed, and I'm putting a 3/8mm piece of aluminum on top of that. It just felt like that sturdiness was really important. Had a lot of issues between this video and the last video. Let's see, for starters, I plugged everything in, and everything was working kind of, not great. So I had to rewire each motor. For some reason, the motors weren't wired the correct way. This motor to this motor wasn't the same, and this motor to this motor wasn't the same as this motor. They were all different. So I got all the wires in, and I figured out which ones are which, and they're all running true now. Or flipped, I'm not sure. Like, they're running back and forth, whereas before they were just jumping around. So I got them all running, top to bottom, left to right, forward to back, all that stuff. What I don't have working is the end stops. So if this end stop is engaged, this motor can't go that way, which makes no sense, because that's the way it shouldn't be allowed to go. So something's got to be flipped there. And of course I thought that meant that the end stop wire needs to be flipped. Well, anybody who's built one of these knows that as soon as I flip my end stop wire, I cooked my Arduino. These 3-wire end stops, you cannot flip them because you end up sending 12 volts back down to the Arduino 5-volt regulator, and it blows. So that's what I did. Went out, yep, there's the cooked one right there. Went out, bought another Arduino. Now you can use this, but you have to have it plugged into the computer the whole time. And I want to try and go with LCD. So this is actually a working Arduino Mega, but the little, what it's called, regulator, 5-volt regulator is cooked. So you can't run it off of this power alone. You have to have the computer hooked in. So better off just getting a new one. Got a new one, went out and got it for $10. Micro Center had it. Hooked that up. Second issue, the little green plug that goes into the ramp, 1.4, melted. I mean, it melted. Pulled it out, checked it out. It was literally melting away. Don't know why. I just plugged it in and I just ran the wires in here. I think Tom put wire caps on and then put them in here. I didn't do that. I just ran the wires in. So I guess these screws don't get a good grab on the wire. Creates a nice little short, and presto, melto. So it melted it. Took it out. Didn't know why it melted it. Kind of happened about the same time as the 5-volt regulator getting fried. So I kind of thought that was what melted it. Took it out. So I cut it down from a 4 to a 3. And got another connector and plugged that in, a single connector, and plugged that into my power supply for the positive 12 volt. Then the other side melted. So that thing's just done. I'm done with those connectors. They're garbage. I don't know why they're garbage, but they're garbage. So maybe you have to do like Tom did. I think he put a wire onto a flat piece of metal crimped and then put the flat piece of metal in there so there's a definite contact. I didn't. I paid for it. So cooked those things to all smithereens. So now I got a couple of these little DuPont connectors, and I'm basically using those. Not very much for a 20 amp flow for the hotbed here that I got this giant wire on where all the, what's the point in having this giant wire back here if I'm going to have just a DuPont connector on the front side? Whatever. I'll figure that out in a little while. Now I'm going through and I'm locking down the bed, but as I mentioned before, I didn't have very many screws. I have literally used all of my 20 millimeter screws. So I'm going back and trying to find some 30s, and I'm down to almost no screws. So what I bought was literally the minimum you can buy. I bought a 25 pack of 40s, 30s, 20s, and 10s. And I had to cut a lot of my 20s and 30s down to fit other spots. So I've got my 30s, I had a few extras. I literally have 2 more 30s left. 2 30s left after I cut 3 30s left after I cut these 3 down. I had 1 20 left. And I have a lot of 40s left. I don't even know why we bought 40s. I don't remember where I used the 40 at. Was it on the spring, maybe? Was this the 40? Going across the spring? Yeah, the spring, you don't need 2 of them. One's plenty. I don't know why there was 2 in the first place, but it's built for 2. You put 2 in there, it's a pain in the butt to get the filament started. It's not a straight line, it's a little bit off in and in, but it works. I actually have, I printed this little piece of garbage. So it's working. So I just gotta clean everything off the table once I get my bed screwed in, and then I'm gonna try and do a print. I still don't understand my end stops. the PRETA end stop here, I don't know how you even know if it's activated. I know Tom did something like put a piece of metal against the bottom of it. Oh wait, and an LED comes on. I see the LED. How about that? But I don't know how to tell it end stops are activated. Maybe it's in the firmware somewhere that I'm not seeing. Because I literally ran it down to this board and it just kept pushing on the board. And it was like touching it. So it's not working as far as I can tell. And these end stops also not working in the direction they're supposed to. When I hit them, I can continue to ram into them, but I can't get away from them because it won't let me. It says end stop hit. Can't get away from it. So maybe I just need to flip my motor pins all of them around the other direction. I don't know. I'm going to try some more things. First things first, getting the bed attached. It heats. I don't know if it heats enough. We'll find out. Obviously the extruder heats, or I wouldn't have been able to do this. Everything else is working great. After I got past putting the new Arduino on there, got rid of the stupid power connector that was having all those problems. I did go back in and loosen this belt up. One notch. And it runs, well, it's locked right now, because, it's not locked, but it's a little tight. But it does run. So maybe more after I do a test print and see how it affects the print. So, cutting bolts, attaching bed, tying down wires to something. Don't remember where I tie them to because they have to go back and forth. I'll have to look on the print and see where those go. And we're good to go, I think. I'm going to try and print today. It's Sunday, and I want to get it done. I want to print some stuff. I went out and bought some PEI? I don't know. Print sheet stuff that I can glue onto here. Don't know why, I just did. May not need it. I was at the store, bought some PLA, bought my Arduino. What else did I buy? Oh, bought a pair of crimpers and a crimper set. And the first pair of crimpers I bought, the metal, the steel in here was literally melted. I mean, it wasn't even all there. I crimped and nothing happened. So I took them back and I got a second pair. This pair works great. Love these things. First I hated them, now I love them. All right, off to cutting threads and bolting down the bed. Alright, let me get Tom out of the way here. Here it is out of the way. I have been bed leveling, and it is pretty awesome, but it is squeaking to no end. So I'm going to grease the threaded rods because they are loud. And I'm going to do it just like Tom did his. Run the grease on the thread rods. It is squeaky loud. I don't know how high up this goes, but we'll just grease up into this area and we'll have to raise it up and get underneath there a little bit. And then I'll do a bed leveling. So I ran into a few issues with bed leveling. I found out my motors couldn't go 40 times 60 on the homing. Got a lot of screechy sounds. Somewhere in the settings, there's 40 times 60 is what Tom put in. I lowered mine to 2.5 times 60 on the bed leveling, the Z homing speed rate, or feed rate. And that fixed the problem. I found that on the internet somewhere. There was a lot of people complaining that the noise was just too loud. So somebody suggested doing that, and honestly that's all it took. Now, I also thought it might have been just messing with the potentiometer a little bit, but I don't know. We'll go with what I did. See if it works. Okay. Let's raise that bed up and down a little bit. Do one more of these auto levels, which is G29. First I do a G28. And I got nothing. Why not? Everything's down. Why is everything down? Did something overheat? I don't know. Reconnect. Something's wrong. Okay, it's working again. Let's raise that up a few steps, get some grease where that wasn't. Where that was speaking at. Oh, I can already sense it's better. Sorry, I should have let you guys see it before I put the grease on. It was really bad. Like, I mean, this is probably the spot that needs the most because this is where the bed is. So this is where it's going to start every time. Okay. Now, home, a G28. This is a little close. You probably can't see that far away, but I'll try to zoom in on that as best I can. That's as far as I can zoom in from here. Just about touches. In fact, it almost feels like it kisses it a little bit, but I think it's good. There's that. And then you run a G29. I'm going to turn the extruder and the bed back on. Get them starting to warm up. I did add, while this is running, I did add a 3mm, I had two of them. I added a 3mm sheet on top of my heated bed, and I'm not sure I'm getting enough heat through the, it's pretty hot. I have to actually get a thermostat and measure the temperature of that, see if I'm getting enough heat from the heated bed attaching to that there. So I actually have a 3.1mm bed now because I have the heated bed, which was like 0.1mm, and a 3mm bed. This runs, I think, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. And I do have two holes right in the middle of my bed. But I'm going to epoxy those and put one of these print sheets, I can't remember what it was, PEI maybe, on the bed. But after I test it, I want to make sure everything's working before I stick it down there. I want to clamp my wires a little bit too before I do too much. I will try and do a print today. I mean a real print, not calibration prints, as you see here. Oh man, this was so squeaky before I put the grease on. This is driving me crazy. I mean, just crazy, crazy loud. That one wire that runs across the front there, I don't like that. I gotta find a spot for that little end stop wire. Not sure where I should run that, but I don't like it running across this front there. So I'm literally right where Tom's at, and I'm in video 6 of him, and I'm an hour into a 4-hour video. So I think his next thing he does, though, is the print of the benchy. That's probably what I'll do next. Oh, that was not good. That just moved the whole bed. Didn't it? Oh, that one didn't. That was interesting. I wonder why that other one moved the bed. At least it looked like it did from where I was sitting. Maybe it was just a reflection. I don't know. Okay, I'll have to watch the video over. Alright, I'm going to find out what's next, and I'll try and record some more for you once I find out what we're doing next here. Alright, here we go. We're going to load a benchy and print it out. I'm using, oh that's tight. I'm using Prunterface, which is the name of the software I've ever heard. Alright, here we go. I put down some that sheet on there. Didn't do a very good job at that, but nonetheless, we're at about 190 on the heater. Bed's at about 60. Print is loaded. And I'm going to hit the print button, which should home out first, I believe. Oh, it's extruding. I don't want it to extrude yet. Maybe it'll get stuck on the bed right there. Nope, it just pushes it up into the extruder. Let me clean that off before we start, or we're going to have it stuck extruder. Yep, not going to give me a chance to. Coming out a little zigzag. I'm not sure what that means. Can't tell if it's sticking or not. I can tell it smells like crud though. It's a little on the high side. It's not like it's down as far as it could be. I need to lower it with a hair. Smidgen. Part fan cooling yet? No, it's not. I don't know if it's supposed to cool on this bed, but can't see anything. Come out of the camera. See if I can get some video close up for you guys. Of course, the printhead is like literally on top of the thing. Oh, there's a better view. Sorry, I gotta unwind my spool because I don't have a spool holder yet. I think we're kind of delaminated a little bit already. Hard to say. Alright, I can't hold the camera into this, so we'll get more pictures as we go. Fail on the x-axis. I continue to have that fail on the x-axis. I may have to replace the X motor. It's like super hot. Yeah, that's just keeps going around in circles on that X there. So printing the K and the I and the M, everything in that one spot there. So my X motor is super hot. it was looking good until that point when it messed up. It didn't get the top layer in, obviously, so it was still at 20% still right there when it got to that point, but just wasn't traveling left and right anymore. So I've been playing with the potentiometer on the X stepper driver, and it just isn't making a difference. So it's supposed to be twice that thick. Since I keep having problems with the X-axis locking up, I'm going to try and use a fan on the ramp board to see if I can cool it off. I know everybody uses hairspray or glue sticks to get the PLA to stick, or I use wood glue. So it works really well. I don't know if it's a good answer to this, but it does work. It's not that much different than a glue stick, I'm sure. So just what I use. It's what I had available, let's put it that way. I'm sure a glue stick would work fine too. So we're going to try and run this again and see if we can get the X-axis to complete without overheating. The motor gets really hot, and I think that's our problem. So we're going to see what we can do. Might end up replacing that motor. First, it does a home, or not. It would appear the X-axis is not even moving. So the Y-axis home, then the X-axis should home, and then the Z-axis. So we're going to kill this. And we got nothing on the X-axis, so we're going to have to obviously... Alright, I'm not sure where I lost you guys in the video because the SD card ran out. So I'm doing a... I forgot where it was, but we have to get the X to work because the X is overheating and stopping. So I got the fan on it. I'm running another G29. Man, it is hitting that bed. Is it hitting it every time? Yes, it is. Bad. Really bad. Is there just a gunk on there, or is it actually hitting? No, it's actually moving the whole motor up from the back here. That's not good. Hitting the bed, pressing the bed. Ugh. That's bad news. Hitting the bed, pressing the bed, pressing the bed, pressing the bed, breaking things. Oh man, that's bad news. Yeah, we need to cancel this. Not doing it. Okay. I don't know why it's so far off now. Alright, let's reset this thing. next to it. Raise the bed up. Clean whatever is on the bottom of that nozzle off. Might be too hot or too cold in there. Let's do a Z home. That was my shirt and the fan. Just pressing it down. Holy cow, something got moved, whacked out. Eee, you gotta adjust that big time. Crushing. Just lifting the back feet off the ground. That is bad news. Alright, we've got to adjust that back down. That's too tight. Bring it up. I'm not sure how that got so messed up. One more. Alright, let's see if we can adjust this. That's part of our problem. The whole thing is turning, not just the